Hey guys, so today I'm going to be making a jalapeno and cheddar cheese sourdough loaf of bread. Inspired by one of my customers, actually, she has purchased sourdough starter from me twice, and unfortunately, the first one didn't make it, so she bought another one and she's back at baking her breads. And one of her favorites is the jalapeno cheddar combination. So I decided to give it a try and include it in one of my loaves, and I absolutely love it. The first loaf did not survive the first night. I had to make two more. Um, but yeah, that's my starter. I'll put a link down below if you guys are interested in purchasing it. It does come hydrated. It is not dehydrated. It comes wet. Okay. All right. So to begin the recipe, I use 1 and 1/4 cups of warm water, and then I add in 3/4 cups of starter. This starter looks stiff like this because I took it straight out the fridge. And the purpose for this is for me to show you that you can use starter straight out the fridge and make a nice loaf of bread. I prefer a tight crumb, meaning the holes in the loaf, I don't want them to be huge and gigantic because things are just going to fall out. But if that's what you prefer, you can definitely do a longer fermentation time, okay? But my breads usually take 6 to 7 hours. All right. So we added in 1/4 cup of warm water. We added in 1 tablespoon of honey, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar or white sugar, whichever you prefer, and 3/4 cups of starter. Now for our flour, I'm adding in all-purpose flour. I buy the flour from Aldi's. I buy it in bulk. And again, I'm adding 3.5 cup of flour. I do not weigh anything. If you're into weighing things, this may not be the video for you, but if you want something that's super simple, that's going to get you a beautiful loaf of bread, this is the video for you. All right, so again, the ingredients are 1/4 cup of warm water, 3/4 cups of starter, 1 tablespoon of honey, 1 tablespoon of sugar, you can use brown or white, and 3.5 cups of flour, all-purpose flour, okay? If you want, you can do like a half and half on the flour if you like, but I just stick to the all-purpose flour. What I'm gonna do is give it a rough mix like you guys just saw, and we're just gonna let that sit like that for about 10 minutes, okay? You can cover it so it doesn't dry out, and then I'm going to add in my salt. I add in 1.5 teaspoons of salt around the edges and then slowly mix that in. I'm gonna do most of my mixing with my wood spoon. This is just to kind of keep my hands from getting super sticky, okay? And once I've combined most of the flour into the wet parts of the ingredients, so the starter, the water, the honey, and all of that stuff, and it's not as sticky, then I go in with my hand and I'm going to knead the flour for about 2 minutes, okay? 2 minutes. This does not take long at all. So when I'm kneading, I'm pulling from the side and bringing into the center, pulling from the side, bringing into the center, and tucking it in and creating a ball. Once I've got this done and I've made a dough ball, I will add some oil around the perimeter of the bowl, and I'll turn my dough ball over and kind of rub it around the inside of the bowl. So when my dough rises, it can easily fall out of the bowl. This kind of works like a non-stick type of thing. If you don't have a cover for your bowl, you can use saran wrap, anything that will keep air out. Okay, unfortunately for me, the proofing 5 hours later created some gas bubbles in there and popped open the lid. So we did get some air in here. So you see this darker area right here that looks a little darker. That is just room air that got in there, which is fine. It can be used. Don't worry, don't panic if this happens to you. So we're going to get our dough out of the glass bowl. I like to use a glass bowl because I like to see the fermentation process, because basically that's what starter is. It's a fermentation of flour and water, and that's how you make a starter, okay? All right, so once I get my dough out of the bowl, and because I have that dry spot, I'm going to try to see where I will get a nice smooth area. So I turned it over, turn it back over. So I'm just gonna stretch it a bit like this. It should be about maybe a half an inch thick or an inch thick I would prefer a 1/2 inch thick if you're doing this. And then I'm going to add my inclusions, which are jalapenos. I removed the seeds from the jalapenos. I cut them up real fine, and I'm shredding extra sharp cheddar cheese in the first fold. Okay, so this is it stretched out. It's almost gonna look like a very thick pizza pie. Okay, and once you have your jalapenos and cheddar cheese in there, you're gonna fold it over like this, and you want it to be nice and wide, and then you're gonna add your jalapenos and cheddar again. Okay, so I'm grating it fresh off the block right onto the the dough. It's not a loaf yet, but the dough. And add as much cheese as you like. This is the amount I prefer. Sometimes I'll add more, sometimes I'll add less. It just depends on my mood, okay? And you're going to fold it over like this. Any cheese that falls on the outside, try to tuck it in there. It's gonna get baked all together, okay? So it doesn't look like a perfect loaf right now, but this is how you're going to get that. So once you fold it over, you're going to quickly turn it over, and you're going to do a tuck and turn, tuck and turn, tuck it in, tuck it in, tuck it in, tuck it in. You can even pull it towards yourself as you're doing this to create your perfect little round loaf like this. All right, so for the baking, I'm using 2 pots. These are calderos. Or calderos. They're regular pots. They're small pots. I believe they're about 8-inch or 9-inch pots, and they're the same exact pot. And I use them almost like you would use a Dutch oven. Okay, so I put my bread in here on some parchment, and then I use the other pot to cover it because there is a covering part of this whole baking process. I added some extra cheese on top just for a little razzle dazzle, and I cover it. So while you are waiting for your second rise, you're gonna wait about 30 minutes. You're gonna preheat your oven to 425 degrees. Once your dough has risen, okay, and it has come up maybe another inch or two, you're going to score your dough. This is to help release any gases and keep your dough from splitting in a weird way when it bakes. All right, so I like to do like a little cross like this. You can use a knife. You don't have to use a razor. And again, preheat your oven while you are waiting for the dough to rise. I hope the video is super easy for you to understand because that's my intention of this video, okay? So now we're going to bake our dough, and it's going to go into the oven for about 35 to 40 minutes depending on your oven. I have a convection oven, and it's going to bake covered for that 35 to 40 minutes. Once that time is up, I'm going to take the cover off, put in a pan or a pot with about 3 inches of cold water in there, and that's going to build steam up in the oven, and we're going to bake it for another 5 to 10 minutes uncovered. It has to reach an internal temperature above 200 degrees. If it does not, like you guys just saw, it wasn't ready, I put it back in the oven covered for another 5 minutes until I get the internal temperature of 200 degrees. When you check the temperature and it doesn't hit 200 degrees right away, hurry up, put it back in covered for another 5 minutes. Sometimes it'll take another 10 minutes, and this all depends on your oven. Because I have a convection oven, it cooks differently like say an older oven. So definitely look at your coloring, your temperature and everything, and make sure you have a thermometer so you can check the internal temperature of your loaf. So this is how the loaf looks, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it was super easy and simple for you to understand, and I hope you don't feel intimidated by sourdough baking. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe to this channel. I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye guys.